So let's do something that's gonna get me killed. Let's defend loadouts in Call of Duty Zombies. Now, to be clear here right from the start, like before you dislike or anything, this isn't my just flat out endorsement of the loadout system saying it's better than the original one. That's not what's happening here. I'm simply just trying to point out that the loadout system isn't as bad as people make it out to be. There still is definitely pros to the loadout system. It definitely has its cons too, and we will start off by talking about those. But people are acting like it's just flat out bad, which is just not, and we will be talking about all of that. Now, for the people who could see that nuance, I really appreciate if you guys help support me in this video, because there's going to be a ton of just blind hate coming just based off the title alone. So do what you can, like, comment, and even subscribe. All of it will be very much appreciated. But with that said, let's not waste any more time and get right into this very controversial topic. So to start this off, let's talk about the problems with the loadout system. And this could be boiled down to two major things: the elimination of half of the early game progression, and for the second one, making the mystery box more useless than it's ever been. And let's start off with the early game progression, because you have to think about how it used to work in the old Zombies. You spawn in with the 1911 or a gun similar to it. That was a very useless gun, and by round 3 or 4, you probably wanted to get another gun. And this meant you'd rather have to get a wall buy or spin the mystery box. And most of the time, you wouldn't get your preferred gun in the early game, and instead you'd get a gun that was good enough for now. This of course forced you to use a variety of guns instead of just your preferred guns right away. But still, you would then go more and more rounds, build up your points more and more, until you finally got your preferred guns from the mystery box. That's how it used to work. Now, obviously, you have to get 2 guns, not just 1, but that's not the point for now. Now, of course, when it comes to the loadout system, the other half of the early game progression is still there. You're still building up your points to open up the map, buying your perk, unlocking Pack-a-Punch. All of that is still there. But the difference is that you get to spawn in with your preferred gun fully kitted out. And this of course gets rid of that early game progression, going from a completely useless gun to a gun good enough for now to finally getting your preferred gun. Like, that's not there. You just spawn in with at least one of your preferred guns. Now, obviously, eventually you're going to want a second gun too, but you know, that's not really the point. The point is that half of the early game progression is the progression of your gun and its usefulness. And that is completely gone because you get to spawn in with your preferred gun from the get-go. And that's one problem. But this also explains the second problem, because now the mystery box is very useless. And I made a whole separate video talking about this, and you guys can check it out because it goes much more in depth. But just to give the obvious explanation here is that you're not going to spin the mystery box as much because you spawn in with the preferred gun already. Like, why are you going to spin the mystery box nearly as much if you already have one of your guns? Like, sure, you still need to get your second gun, but that can be done through Wonder Weapon Quest or something like that. So it makes the mystery box a lot less useful. This also applies to wall weapons, by the way. And these are the major problems with the loadout system in Zombies. And I think most people understand why they are. But then of course, this does bring us to the other side of the coin. What are the good things about the loadout system? And the first and most important thing that the loadout systems do for the game is add a whole new way to play the game that really wasn't realistic before the loadout system. And that's the camo grind. You could also say weapon leveling too, but you know, whatever. It's mainly the camo grind. This really wasn't a thing you could really realistically do, most people at least, before the loadout system was added to the game. Because believe it or not, mastery camos in Zombies appeared in Zombies before Cold War. But most people don't know, because when they were in Black Ops 4, it was stupid because it was so annoying to get. Because think about it, let's say you have a bad gun you work on some challenges for, like the ballistic knives. Well, how are you going to get that? You're going to have to spin the box. And what's the chances of getting one out of like 30 some different guns from the mystery box? Pretty low. So most of the time you're not going to get that ballistic knife to like round 13, 14, 15 if you're lucky, right? So you wasted all those 13, 14, 15 different rounds not even working on the gun you're supposed to be working on. You just wasted all that time. And then on top of that, the ballistic knives is going to be so useless by the round you finally get it. So it makes it so dumb to work on. And it's not just the useless guns that are affected negatively. It's also when you get towards the end of that grind. Let's say you're literally your last gun. Now you're going to have to spin the box constantly till you get one specific gun. Bro, you're going to be lucky to get one specific gun out of the mystery box before round 20. Like, the chances are pretty low. Like, that is insane. And this is exactly why no one did the camo grind in Black Ops 4. And compare that to Cold War, you can just spawn in whichever gun you need to work on. You need to work on the ballistic knives? Okay, cool. Now you can work on it in early rounds. Get those challenges done early. Oh, you're on your last gun? Doesn't matter. You can just spawn in with that last gun. There's no mystery box affecting that at all. And you could say this is multiplayer, not real zombies, or whatever you want. Personally, I'm not going to apologize for enjoying it because it was a ton of fun to do in Cold War. The camo grind was a ton of fun. It made casual zombies fun, which is something that I get bored of really fast, to be completely honest with you guys, but it wasn't boring when I was working towards something. And that's something that I will not apologize for having fun with and appreciate for having in the game. But it's not only the camo grind that they did here, because one of the major problems that we already talked about was early game progression. That was completely thrown out the window, which is 100% true. But to make up for that, Treyarch instead replaced early game progression with late game progression. Because you have to think about it, in the original Zombies, all you really had to spend to get max damage for your gun was 5,000 on Pack-a-Punch and 2,000 on double tap. But now there's a lot more late game progression, because now you have to increase the rarity of your gun all the way to legendary, especially if you start with your loadout gun at common. You have to level that up a lot, and then of course you have to pack punch your gun 3 times. Now you could like this system or dislike it. The fact is still there, is that they did try to alleviate that elimination of early game progression with late game progression. And with the other problem of the mystery box being useless, I honestly feel like there's ways Treyarch could easily fix this problem, and I made a YouTube short about it that I'll link on screen now if I don't forget, but we really don't know what Treyarch's going to do to try to make the mystery box useful again in Black Ops 6. Maybe they'll do nothing, it'll be like Cold War, maybe they'll actually make some changes. That one is up in the air, and we'll have to wait and launch to see how Treyarch deals with that problem with the loadouts. But regardless, this really goes down to my final point, is that loadouts aren't in there just to hurt zombies like so many people make them out to be. They do also benefit zombies in different ways, adding new ways to play the game. And people need to understand that. Like, Treyarch isn't dumb, they do things that they think is better for the game mode, and this is what Treyarch decided. They decided to swap off early game progression for late game progression and the camo grind. They also decided to make the mystery box not as useful for the swapping off of these either, which again, I think they could still fix, but that's neither here nor there. But regardless though, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this situation. Does this kind of really open your eyes to explain why Treyarch continues to have the loadout system, or do you still disagree? And if you do, that's completely fine. Regardless though, just let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. Regardless though, that's going to wrap it up for me. If you guys did enjoy the video, I'd appreciate if you guys dropped a like, subscribe, bell, share, any of that great stuff. But I'm going to go, and I'll catch you guys in the next Black Ops 6 video.